Children, children, come closer. Tonight's story is not about an ordinary girl. It is about a child the river recognized before the people did. A child born on the night the waters rose without rain. A child who could hear silence inside the river. While other children feared the deep water, she sat beside it for hours, listening to something no one else could hear. The elders warned her never to follow the river after dark. But one night, under the full moon, the river called her name. And what rose from the water that night changed the village forever. Because some rivers do not carry only water. Some carry memory, some carry power, and some carry Mami Wata herself. This is the story of Zina, the girl chosen by the river.
Children, before the story continues, if your heart is brave enough to hear what the river revealed that night, then sit closer to the fire. Touch the like button down below so the spirits know you are listening. And subscribe to Tales by Moonlight so you never miss the stories hidden inside the dark. And tell me in the comments, would you follow a river that called your name at midnight?
Before the earth learned to harden, and before names settled into mouths, the world was soft. Water moved freely across it, shaping valleys, carving paths, and teaching the land how to breathe. In those first days, the elders say, nothing existed alone. The river was not separate from the forest. The forest was not separate from the people. All things leaned on one another, bound by unseen threads of balance. Where water gathered, spirit gathered also, for water was the first mirror through which the world saw itself. From this mirror rose ancient presences, older than kings and deeper than memory. Among them was the one whose essence flowed like moonlight and whose authority rested in calm. She was known across coasts and rivers by many names, but her power remained one. She was Mami Wata, bearer of depth, keeper of balance, carrier of Ashe. At the bend of one such river stood the village of Ilode, founded where the water paused gently, neither rushing nor sleeping. The elders chose this place with care, guided by signs read in dreams and the movement of birds. They knew that water that pauses holds wisdom. The people of Ilode lived by rhythms older than calendars. They rose with the sun, rested with the heat, and returned to stillness under the moon. Each act near the river was done with awareness, for they believed the river was alive, not as flesh, but as spirit. Before drawing water, hands were rinsed. Before fishing, silence was observed. Small offerings were placed at the bank, not to beg, but to acknowledge. And in return, the river fed them, carried them, and remembered them kindly. Among the children born into Ilode was Zina, a child whose arrival coincided with a rare swelling of the river. The elders noted how the water rose without destruction, touching the village edges gently, as if greeting a long-awaited guest. From her earliest days, Zina responded to water differently. She quieted when placed near it, Her breathing slowed to match its rhythm. As she grew, she often sat by the river without purpose, tracing symbols in the sand that resembled nothing she had been taught. She did not fear the river's depth, nor did she challenge it. She understood, without instruction, that depth was not meant to be conquered. The elders watched and said that her spirit had come with memory still intact. But time, as it always does, softened the sharpness of memory. New generations came who learned the motions of tradition without its meaning. Offerings became routine. Silence became noise. The river bank, once treated as sacred ground, became merely useful space. Trees were cut too close to the water, exposing the soil beneath. Nets were cast without patience. Waste returned to the river that had given so freely. The elders felt unease but struggled to name it. The river continued to flow, but its surface lost its smooth language. Beneath, the current tightened. Zina felt this shift deeply. Dreams grew heavier. The river in her sleep no longer reflected the sky. It reflected faces that did not look back. Then one night, when the moon stood high and round, Zina felt the pull of the river stronger than before. Her feet followed a path worn smooth by time, leading her beyond the familiar bend to a place where the river widened and deepened. The air there carried weight, as though thick with waiting. Moonlight settled upon the water, not breaking, but resting. The surface trembled. Then, slowly, the river folded inward, and from its center rose a form shaped by water, yet untouched by it. Shells gleamed against dark skin that shimmered like polished stone. Hair flowed like living current. This was not a creature of fear. This was authority earned through ages of watching. Mami Wata had revealed herself. The river stilled completely. Even the insects paused their song. Around her, the water glowed, revealing layers upon layers of depth, each holding echoes of offerings once given and promises once kept. Zina remained rooted, not frozen by fear, but anchored by recognition. And without words, the river spoke. Memory passed through her like breath. She saw the village as it once was, moving in harmony. She saw the slow erosion of care, the careless hands, the broken respect. She felt the river's patience stretched thin, not from anger, but from sorrow. Ashe, once shared freely, had been ignored. Balance had tilted. The river did not seek destruction. It sought acknowledgement. And through Zina, the reminder would come. At dawn, the river withdrew, not violently, but deliberately. Water levels dropped beyond reason. Fish vanished into deeper channels. Canoes rested on exposed stone. The people of Ilode gathered in confusion and fear. This was not drought, it was refusal. The land felt the absence immediately. Heat pressed harder. Crops leaned weakly. And the elders recognized the sign they had hoped never to see. The river had turned its face away.
Children, the river was already watching. But before we continue, I want to know something. Do you think the people of Ilode deserved what happened to them? If you believe the river was warning them, press like. If you think they forgot the old ways, subscribe and join our Moonlight family and leave your answer in the comments before the story continues.
Now, let's get back into the story.
Then change began, not with command, but with humility. The village slowed itself. Trees were replanted where roots once held the earth. Waste was carried away from the water. Old rituals were relearned, not as performance, but as meaning. Children were taught that the river listens even when silent. And Zina moved among them like a quiet current, guiding through action rather than instruction. Each careful step restored a fragment of balance. Still, the river remained watchful. Then, on the seventh night, when the moon completed its cycle, the river returned. Water flowed back into its path gently, as if testing the ground. Fish followed. The surface smoothed, the land exhaled, and beneath the water, unseen eyes observed. Mami Wata accepted the restoration, not as victory, but as responsibility renewed. Balance, once remembered, needed no further warning. Zina grew into a woman shaped by water and wisdom. She became a keeper of stories, reminding each generation that the world responds to how it is treated. The river remained generous, but never again taken for granted. And the name Mami Wata was spoken softly, with respect, passed down like a sacred current. The people of Ilode learned that water carries memory, and memory carries consequence. Even now, when the moon rests fully upon the water and the river grows unnaturally still, the elders say she is near. They say the river remembers kindness. They say balance is a living thing. And they say that beneath the shimmering surface, Mami Wata remains, guardian of depth, keeper of Ashe, watching not to punish, but to ensure the world does not forget itself again.
And so, children, remember this well. The river remembers everything. Kindness returns. Respect returns. But so do forgotten promises. If this story touched your heart, then leave a like for Mami Wata. Subscribe to Tales by Moonlight for more ancient African folk tales and moonlight stories. And in the comments, tell me what lesson you learned from Zina and the river. Now, the fire grows low, and the spirits must rest until another night.